Hello and a very warm welcome back to Dovey Plants Permaculture Nursery. Our collection is quickly growing, but one of our core focuses, of course, has been outside where we're planting mother plants. And I thought I'd take you on a bit of a tour just to show you some of the things that we've been planting out. And so a mother plant essentially is a plant that is a mother whose kids are what you propagate, like cuttings or you save seed from, and then those cuttings or seeds are what we will then grow on to then supply to gardeners across the UK. So it's a pretty chilly day. It's been chilly for about 3 weeks, and we're at this site, we're exposed from the easterly wind. So we have planted a shelter belt to start to protect us, but at least with soft fruit they're quite small. And we had this space, this slightly awkward space, or this opportunity just below our linear food forest, which is to your right. And so what we've done is we've actually laid out a few different rows. Now it's hard to see at the moment. I can't wait to do a tour when these start to leaf up, but we've got a few different rows of different soft fruit, and they are in either multiples of 10 or 5, just so it's easy in numbers, and as well with ease of propagation we're keeping them all together. So the idea is around the site we encourage the biodiversity because it's really important to work with nature, but we are, in terms of organization, in terms of efficiency, we are having to think a bit more commercially. So we are going to have rows of say 10. These here are Ravada red currants, but it's so nice to see all of these sticks of potential. And I'll just show you as well a couple of the more interesting things that we have growing here. This little plant here is going to become quite big and sprawling. This is goji, or goji berry. Now the lovely thing about goji is that it fruits better when you leave it alone. It actually fruits better under stress. I had my first ever goji fruit last year after years of leaves. Their leaves are edible, by the way. But with goji, you kind of just want to leave them alone, and you don't have to provide that structure or support. So we've got 5 goji here, and then just to the right of me, you can kind of see these little sticks. These I've pruned. These are josta berries that I grew from cuttings last year, and I've pruned them, and I've taken a load more josta berry cuttings. So some are in a raised bed that we've processed, just because we haven't quite yet got all of the infrastructure here for propagating hardwood cuttings en masse. But I'm also trying to experiment wherever possible with propagation. So I've also got these root trainers, and I'm trialing cuttings of 3 buds above ground for josta berry and 3 buds below ground, just to see what happens in terms of rooting and propagating in a small space. So yeah, that's part of the fun, is thinking how can we develop systems that work well for us and our nursery. One of the fruits that we're trialing, that we have some more mature plants, but trialing a couple of different styles or varieties, is chokeberries, also known as aronia. So these are fairly small shrubs, around 2 meters wide, 2 meters tall, and they create this small berry. This variety here is called Viking. We've also got a variety called Nero, and they are, I believe they're, well, they're not from here in the UK, but they're really good for cold climates and wet, dismal climates. And so that's why propagating these is going to be absolutely essential and also really interesting. And of course, one of my favourites, or a kitchen garden staple, black currants. We've got pink currants, white currants, all sorts of currants. Black currants are fantastic, and one of the side effects from all of these plants, yes, we're going to be taking a lot of cuttings from them, but we will also be getting a lot of fruit. So that's going to be another product that we can sell to diversify income. And it's as well, it's stacking functions here at the nursery. Another thing that's arriving later today, apparently, I had the notification, is 5 green currant bushes. So green currants, a variety of black currant, but with green berries. So the birds are not interested at all, but they still taste nice and sweet. Before I show you the honeyberry and gooseberry and Saskatoon plantation, I want to show you a fun little project that we're doing where we're developing an orchard into kind of syntropic or agroforestry inspired rows, because one of the things that's so important is for us is to have living examples of these plants in context, in a landscape. So when we're filming, we'll be like, well, this is what a chokeberry or this is what a josterberry looks like in context, planted underneath an apple tree or things like that, and obviously different things like globe artichoke. So I'll just show you what's going on. So here and Aidan are working hard creating the second round of holes. So the first thing that we've done is we've got fruit tree, willow, alder, small leaf lime, poplar, fruit tree. That's the order. And then what we're going to do in between, and what they're busy doing, is creating the planting holes for putting then the more shrubby or soft fruit layer. So some of the pioneer trees like the willow and the poplar are going to be side pruned, or the laterals are going to be pruned, so they're going to be tall and thin to let light underneath the canopy. Then we're going to have all of the soft fruit layer, and then we're going to follow on the soft fruit layer with more of the herbaceous vegetable layer as well. So that's where we'll include things like comfrey, experiment with sunchokes, those different things, mashua, globe artichokes, patient stock, all within this system. And then we've got more of a food forest area in between. So this side is going to be a trial experiment. This side is we're just going to plant cuttings directly into the ground, like a red currant, straight into the ground and into the prepared holes with manure that we've got from a local organic farm. And this side is where we're going to be planting soft fruit that we've got as overs from the mother planting. We're going to be planting bare rooted soft fruit along here, and then at the end of the year and over the subsequent years we can do a trial by trial or side by side comparison. So this is our honeyberry plantation, 6 different varieties. We've been busy just prepping the ground. We cut a square and then remove most of the topsoil. The kind of the turf goes elsewhere for creating the berm. We then add that manure in, mix it up, transplant it, cover it over. If at the moment we don't really need to water them because there's plenty of moisture, and then we're just going to give them, or we have given them, a light mulch of this wood chip just to help keep some of the grass down, but it's more so to help encourage that nice kind of fungally dominated soil. The thing about honeyberries that you need to understand is that they need a pollination partner. They're semi-fertile, but they do so much better if you have a pollination partner. If you want just a few berries, then just go for 1. If you want hundreds of berries on laden bushes, get 2. Now, just as I'm heading uphill towards where the gooseberries and saskatoons are, and that's kind of more the rounded end of the of all of the mother plantings that we're doing here on site. At the moment, there's more coming. Worcester berries are coming. We've got all of the trailing berries to do, so those are going to be down on the lower terraces where we need that flat ground because we're going to set up the trellis, and we need flat ground to put pots on for layering propagation. So that'll be another video setting up that system. But what we have here are 3 sets of swales. So essentially what we're trying to do here is capture any water or nutrient runoff, because we're going to be planting just lots of vegetables in between, but it is on a bit of a hill. So to capture that nutrient and water flow to percolate down, we're going to plant these up with perennials in the back, taller ones, and then shorter ones in the front. And the idea is to create these like biodiversity alleyways. So we'll be putting things in like Korean mint or poppies and comfrey and all of these different things, just so it is an absolute hive of activity for bringing in the beneficial insects for the rest of the site. So we have 2 rows of gooseberries of 15 and 15. The other 15 still need to go in, so we're going to have 30 as the initial start, 4 different varieties. And it's kind of exciting coming further up the hill. And then above, our project yesterday was planting saskatoons. So those grow bigger, so we've had to space them out more. We've got 3 different varieties, and it's going to be really interesting to see how saskatoons work. They're part of the idea of trialing different things that then we can see how they fare in this climate, and if we're happy with them, we'll then propagate those plants and offer them with that assurance for other growers, or even people that just want to experiment with something a little bit different. Now, as you can see, a lot is happening, and this is still just very much scratching the surface. It's going to be a very busy year, and I want to invite you to subscribe and to join our journey here on this channel of showcasing this plant nursery, starting from essentially from scratch and seeing what happens, and it should be a lot of fun. So there's a couple of videos that have popped up that might be of interest, and I'll catch you guys again soon.